Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Eric Rosen. This is the show, Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology, the daily horoscope show where I actually go into a daily horoscope for you guys to help you navigate your day, but then also break it down into some simple, basic to understand terms. I carry around this silly little clock with me because this is actually demonstrating like how we learned clock time back in the grade school days. The teacher was like, the big hand goes here, the little hand goes here. It seemed overwhelming at first, but we got it, we learned it. So that's the idea with this. It's like I'm wanting to show people how astrology doesn't have to be that overwhelming, and also give you a daily horoscope to show you that this stuff does matter, that what's going on in the solar system does affect us here on Earth. Like, these are predestined events. They are predictable patterns. We can tell you exactly where each one of these planets are going to be in the solar system without fail. We cannot say that about anything here in our lives here. Like, everything seems unpredictable, so we can actually look to the stars above for some guidance on that. So the trajectory that I'm going to be taking going forward, and of course this is for November 15, 2019, it is a Friday, is looking at what's going on with our minds, okay? And then looking at what's going on with the bigger picture, because it's our minds where we freak out. It's where we try to control things, where we worry, the anxiety, the depression, just all of the things that really just make us unhappy is because we're trying to constantly understand what's going on. We're just really trying to control what's going on in our environment. And so the bigger picture of astrology is going to show, like, hey, there are certain things that we just do not have control of, but what we do have control of is our perception of how things are going. And if we can actually learn to work constructively with our perception on how things are going and understand that we're actually not having to control things, that it's almost like teamwork. Like, let's take our perception and team up with what's going on in the bigger picture in the universe. And that's when we can actually use our minds to create the thing that we've been looking for, like, all along, which is just happiness, it's fulfillment. So the opposite of that, as you can see, it's like the more we worry, the more that we grip, the more we're attached to having things work out. It's got to be exactly this way. The more it doesn't, the more that we keep reaping the same undesirable results. And so first off, let's talk about just the sun real quick. The sun moves 1 degree per day, right? This is our clock, a 360-degree clock, 30 degrees per zodiac sign. So the sun, it's getting into an intense position. You know, it's in this last, 10 degrees. It's at 23 degrees before it goes into Sagittarius about a week from now. So this is either one of two things. This is either things are getting really intense in terms of, like, seeing the truth. You can't deny it, because think of Scorpio as like this kind of cavernous, like dark, like underworld, but there's actually like treasures of truth in the underworld. And so the sun's coming through to illuminate like this dark cavernous area. There's no nook or cranny where the truth can't hide. And so, especially, although we already know what the truth is, because when the sun and Mercury met up, like, we saw the truth, but it's almost like it's just undeniable. It's like we cannot run from it. And so it's either, still running from the truth, or it's, going on and having and applying the truth and being like, okay, I'm actually getting closer and closer to the truth by having the experience, by applying it, by taking action. Mars in Libra, 27 degrees, it's getting intense there too. Like, it really wants to take action. In Libra, it's like, yeah, let's think about things and weigh things out. But, with Jupiter also at an intense position at the end of Sagittarius, it's like, hey, the abundance, everything that you're looking for, the gifts in life, it comes from having the experience. And so, depending on which side of the fence that you're falling on, is how it's going to show up for you. And so, Mercury, is this planet, when it's in Scorpio, it can be one of two ways, because there is this, plus minus aspect to it. Mercury takes on a neutral position where our minds are meant to be neutral and just look at things objectively, not be like, that's good, that's bad, yeah, like, no, like, there is a harsh energy, right? Like, facing the truth and like going into this cavernous underworld, but it's what you do with that. And so when the truth is coming up, it's like, are you accepting it? Are you accepting the truth and getting your true power and going after what you truly desire in life? Because that's what the truth is showing you. Like, hey, this is what you really want. And with Mercury and it's going retrograde, we're not looking outside of ourselves for answers, especially in a sign that deals with truth. We're looking within. We're our own authority. Like, we are really just looking deep within for these answers. Or does it fall on the other side where it's like, it's the denial of the truth, where it's like denying the truth by getting obsessed with the control of like what you just, I gotta have it this way, it's gotta look this way, where our minds just want things to show up in an exact certain way, thinking that that's gonna make us happy, or that I have to do X, Y, and Z to be happy. And Mercury and Scorpio and the sun here is like saying like, no, like there's an easier, better way to do this. And if you would just be willing to accept it, it's going to be okay. And so, you know, I discussed a lot of, you know, things going on yesterday that were going on in the rest of the astrology, and all those things actually still apply, although we've passed those in our clock. So it's like the pressure's coming off. Like anytime you have these interactions going on and they're getting plus or minus these and they're not approaching this, they're moving away from it, either, you know, like for example, this became 59 degrees or this became 61, you know, between different planets, that's going to shift how things are going. And so the pressure's coming off, although we're still feeling those things. So if you didn't check out yesterday's video, I would recommend it. There was one that I wanted to call attention to that that I missed. And so that was when the sun, so the pressure's coming off of this now, when the sun was still at 21 degrees, and really this was maybe almost 2 days ago, and Pluto at 21 degrees, the planet that's dealing with transformation. This is where we end things. So the sun, Pluto, 60 degrees, 30 degrees per sign, they're friends. The sun's like, hey, like, I'm showing the truth. Pluto's like, oh good, because I'm actually the planet that is really in charge of Scorpio. Like, that's my home. Like, I will definitely help you out. And not only will I help you out, like, I'm going to help you transform in a way that's going to really help you achieve. So apply your truth, and then you can achieve in Capricorn. Get the recognition for your achievement. This is about, what do you want to be recognized for? What do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for the person that's like, you know, I'm just going to say it, like jerking off to porn, like obsessions? Or do you want to be the person who, you know, it's like, you know what, I went for it. I'm going, I'm having the experience, like I'm inspiring people just by trying something. And so, you know, Pluto's like, I'll help you end things. It might hurt a bit depending on how attached you are to things, but if you let go of control, it's actually going to be magical. There's a lot of magic that happens when Pluto's making any like interactions going on with Scorpio. And so it's really just like objectively looking at the truth and being like, okay, I get it, let's go. And so the question becomes though, if we're accepting the truth, if we're looking at things objectively, we're not trying to figure things out like most people are doing, and we're not trying to think our way out of things, how do we understand it? We look at what's going on in the rest of the astrology, and especially from an emotional standpoint with the moon, because we are emotional beings. We're constantly trying to figure things out up here, but it's actually a misuse of the power of our minds, and we're not paying attention to our emotions because they scare us. And so the first thing that's going on is this 180 degree interaction. So this is like a tug of war between the moon in Gemini and Jupiter in Sagittarius. And so the moon in Gemini is wanting to be emotionally stimulated. It's wanting to feel good. But Jupiter's like, hey, like the abundance comes from having the experience. And so there's this tug of war here. And so who wins the tug of war? It's definitely Jupiter, because Jupiter's not only the biggest planet, but it's in its home sign. And so you might be wanting to try to feel good and just like feel stimulated, but it's not going to work out if you're sitting around at home trying to figure things out still with Mercury, because Gemini deals with our environments. And so the stimulus doesn't feel good from sitting on the couch at home pondering things. It comes from having the experience. And so if you're sitting at home still trying to figure things out, like, you're going to feel this tension of Jupiter being like, come on, dudettes, like, let's go, let's like figure this out. And so, you know, we've got to go have a new experience and not just like go back to the proverbial well, you know, like doing the same things over and over again, especially around environments that we're used to. We've got to go out to new places and explore. Jupiter, Sagittarius deals with exploration. At the same time, because this is going on when we wake up in the morning, we're going to have the moon. It'll advance to 27 degrees. Sloppy Joe there, but whatever. So basically at the same time, there's going to be this 120 degree angle going on. So, you know, big hand is most important, right? When we think of clock time. So, you know, Mars isn't in a strong position in Libra, but the moon's not in a strong position in Gemini, but it doesn't really matter, because 120 degrees is a peaceful agreement. They're not really looking at, okay, who's in their stronger position. They're just looking at like, hey, we can learn to get along on this. And so, you know, Mars being at these last few degrees of Libra, it's like super intense trying to figure things out. And because there's harmony here, it's like, hey, you can feel good, you know, and feel stimulated trying to figure things out. But the figuring the things out happens when you're going on the experience. Because the thing is that, imagine now, let's pretend this is seconds, this is minutes, this is hours, so we're going more advanced here. But if you look at what's going on, it's like, yeah, there's a good thing going on here, but Jupiter is pulling on our emotions. And so when Jupiter's pulling on ourselves emotionally, saying, go have an experience, you know, this alone is like, no, you cannot figure things out by just sitting around pondering it. We're literally figuring things out on the fly. Like, this is what a lot of the astrology has been about. You just gotta go try something, people. Like, we just have to go. We cannot sit around. We put ourselves in anxiety and worry about the future and just stuff with, you know, self-worth and just all types of things, like the irrational fears that come up sometimes with Mercury and Scorpio, the depressive thoughts. Thing is like, you just got to go up and you just got to go do something. And with Saturn being in its home sign in Capricorn, it's saying, hey, like, make it your long-term vision, right? Like, make it something big. Don't just do something to, you know, go and just feel stimulated. And the thing is because we're dealing with our truth here, the truth is going to be a longer term vision. The truth is always going to be a longer term thing, right? It's going to be, this is your truth. This is going to lead you forward. This is going to take you on your journey. So I'd say around 10 a.m., because that stuff going on the moon is happening when we wake up in the morning really early. The moon is actually going to move into Cancer, right? The moon moves quick. And so when it gets there, first thing that's going to happen, so can't draw for crap right now. Moon, 1 degree, big hand, little hand. But the little hand's the important guy. So this is going to be 90 degrees. So we've got a challenge, right? But an opportunity for growth. And it can be a really tough challenge because the moon is at home in Cancer. This is where we feel our best. This is where we feel at home. We feel just really, really good emotionally. But it's got this challenge at 1 degree with Chiron retrograde in Aries. Chiron retrograde is feeling our deep wounds, our sensitivities. We're feeling it very deep down. And when it's in Aries, it's like, damn it, things just don't look the way that I want them to. And so rather than sitting around bitching, quite honestly, about what's not working out for us and the things that we don't look, it's saying like, hey, like, I just showed you what you need to do emotionally, so don't sit here and grovel and you want to feel good, but you can't because things don't look the way that you want them to. Where you overcome this, the growth potential is when you're like, oh yeah, I just realized what I have to do to feel emotionally stimulated. I just got that message. And so it's about saying like, hey, yeah, I feel my sensitivity, but I'm gonna go connect emotionally with what I know I have to do anyway. And because the thing is that if we don't, the way I look at this astrology is if we don't start our day off well tomorrow and are in pursuit of our truth and taking action, by midday we can sit around and be feeling even worse than, you know, maybe we felt in a few days. And of course, that passes quickly, you know, so I don't want anyone to think that their whole day is going to be ruined if their, you know, sensitivities are triggered, but it'll be felt pretty intensely because of all the other stuff going on. And so, last thing, moon advancing to 3 degrees now. So this is going to be, this is actually going to be big hand here. No, this is going to be little hand here, big hand here, because the moon is actually in its home sign, right? Whereas Uranus really does not like being in Taurus, because Uranus is a planet that deals with a lot of thinking and change and what can we do differently, whereas like Taurus likes physical things. It likes our physical reality, and it wants to like hold on to things. It wants to hold on to relationships. It wants to feel good. But Uranus comes in like kind of like this tornado, and it's like, hey Dorothy, like actually I need to take you somewhere better than Kansas so that you can come back and appreciate it better when you get back. And so, you know, we've got this 60-degree angle going on, so they're friends. Can we make changes in our life that feel good for us, right? This can come as like an awareness, almost like kind of like a light bulb moment where it's like, okay, I know how to feel better, but the way to feel better, looking at the rest of the astrology, is going and having the experience that's on our long-term vision. So it's change that feels good, but we're going to have to get over our fears too and our attachments and see the bigger picture. Like, this is one of those things where it's like kind of like that feeling that you get when you get really inspired by something and you're like, okay, I get it, I know what to do. But then it's like, okay, now go do it, because this feeling's going to pass quickly, and it's not the feeling of the awareness that maybe comes through, you know, to help you along. It's the application of it. So a potential negative form that this could maybe take would be, you know, damn it, I want to feel good, but here, like, this thing's trying to tell me like what I need to do differently. Like, I just wanted to, you know, sit on the couch and I just wanted to watch daytime television or whatever, but now I'm getting this awareness like, oh man, I've got to like make a change. Like, I can't just sit here on this couch like I'm putting on weight. Like, I'm not feeling good about myself anymore. We want to feel good in Taurus. And so that is big hand, little hand astrology for the day, folks. It's a lot of the same stuff. It's really just looking at how to work constructively, especially mentally, but, you know, and then turning things over to our emotions. And so for what it's worth, I hope you're all doing well. Like, guys, I want you to know that, like, even though I read the astrology and I see all this, I still go through my mental stuff. Like, I still, you know, at times lose sight of like the bigger picture and get hung up on the details of being like, oh man, this thing isn't working out right. My sensitivity, my ego sensitivity, or wanting to control and understand the bigger picture, like me being the person in control. But it's like the reality is the universe is like, hey, like, just work with me here. Just surrender to the stuff that's going on. I'm actually trying to help you out. But if you're just trying to grip onto your reality, not change things, obsess about the way that you want things to look, things are not going to be pretty. So I hope that you're taking this advice and being like, yay, like, I accept it. Impermanence is guaranteed, like, but it's impermanence in a good way because we're actually evolving. We're evolving into our happiness, right? Like, if you think about it, there's not a whole lot of people in the world that we can look to for just this immaculate representation, this embodiment of happiness. Like, even some of the people that I think that we're all wanting to be our role models, like if you look behind the surface, they actually have a lot of drama going on in their lives. And so astrology is a lot about looking at how to work with that, and then at an even deeper level, learning to take your own natal chart or working with an astrologer and seeing how it affects you specifically, because this is affecting everyone. So this show is going to be free on my personal page and my Facebook business page, and also YouTube for a little bit longer. But by next week, I will be probably going live and announcing that this content's going to be exclusive over at my platform, my Facebook group, Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology. It is free for the first 7 days. After that, it's $9.97 a month. You pay through PayPal. Guys, I'm learning like my value here of like the stuff that I'm giving you. And so I know that the guidance that I give, whether it's a daily horoscope or whether it's one-on-one readings and stuff like that, has tremendous value, can really help people. And so, you know, this show isn't going to continue to be free. Now, I will occasionally share content to give people a glimpse of like what's going on over at Big Hand, Little Hand Astrology, but it's only fair to the people that really value this to get that regular content every day of the week, daily horoscopes. There's a weekly intuitive where I just tap into my intuitive channeling abilities. There's going to be a weekly tarot. That stuff's already been going on. There's going to be a weekly just like deep dive into astrology, although I'm still playing with that concept. And then weekly zodiac sign affirmations, which is basically just an inspirational quote that is designed specifically for your zodiac sign based on your day of birth. And so that's where I go and I look at all the individual zodiac signs, what's going on for you at that level, and then I write up something that can be motivating, which is really powerful, because the thing is that when it comes to our minds and the negative self-talk and that comes up, we're at least setting new possibilities for ourselves when we say things like affirmations. And so, you know, how you work with Mercury overall is getting out of the head by actually using your language, using the power of your voice, or writing, since, you know, writing is a form of communication to ask the universe for the truth if you're struggling with it. Ask to be helped. Like, believe it or not, there is a divine force that we cannot see with Neptune and Pisces that's there to help you out. When you start leaning into your emotions, this is when things get more clear. And so it's the resistance that's actually creating havoc for ourselves. And so if you guys want to know more about that, you can contact me for a reading of any sort. But I'm going to run here. I'm going to get on with my day. Also, November 26th, I know it's a couple days before Thanksgiving, but I am doing the first class out of 4 of a live workshop where I'm teaching the basics of astrology. So that's going to be at Limelight Events in St. Charles, Missouri, and that's from 6:30 to 8:30. Bring a friend, make it fun, bring a pen, bring a notebook. It's $25 per class, or you can pay $85 for all 4 classes. If you cannot make one of the classes, it's okay. I'm going to be video recording all of them. And so if you miss one class, you can purchase a video for $15, or I haven't figured out a price yet if someone just cannot make it in person and they want to purchase all the videos on how to learn astrology, starting with the basics. So that's it, guys. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope everyone's doing okay, especially up here. Like, the reason I'm focused on this is because I know firsthand how hard this can be, but we're all in this together, guys. So I love you, and thanks for watching. Take care.